All right, here's my backup mic. The backup mic. The sound quality is really low, but there's no clicking. It sounds like a clap or something. Like, I don't know what it is. To be honest, it's I need new software for that microphone for it to work. Donate. Donate to. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We got basically we have no one in the house. Here, let's fast forward some time. And I got to finish this up. But there's no more clicking. How is the microphone now? No clicking? No or anything like that? It's just you, I, and whoever the hell else has YouTube? Okay, here I can check my microphone here. Good, all good. Niagara Nancy. This is all good. All right, thanks. That's good. It's good, we're good. And okay, here I can check my microphone here. I think I got another. Good, all good. Niagara Nancy. This is all good. All right, thanks. That's good. I have a video backup. All right. I can put that on mute. I can put my headphones on, but I think we have enough of the headphone people. All right. So we have basically we don't know what the heck is going to happen here today. Like, is it going to be the hard-hitting Pierre type that everyone's like, oh, we can't have this. It's the destruction of democracy. And I think everyone else, I'm really kind of tired of this, like, the children's ears. Well, you know what? Politics isn't for children. When I was 12 years old, I watched politics. There's a new prime minister. Oh, there's a new thing. But it's not like a day-to-day. It shouldn't be the day. It's not a kid's sport. Kids' sports have cartoons and stuff, like, or whatever. But this idea that we're only speaking to the children is like this Democrat model, and I think that Trump is going to. It's handily done. They're never going to win another election. The Democrats are never going to win another election. We don't have to have it stopped. There's times that the parties should be conciliatory, should be working. Question period is not that time. Question period is designed. Like, you know what I mean? We have a parliament, and there's a specific thing. The opposition's not supposed to be cozy with the party that's in power. That isn't how it works. Like, in the States, they have a different system. That they're like, in their system, winner takes all, right? Once you lose, go home. So that their voice is to go, the Democrats' voice or whatever right now, is to go on the media. Well, here, we got it every day, almost every day, every parliament sits. We got 1 hour where politicians can grill, question, pry the government of the day for the people that voted for them. And that's why I like this system, because it gives it like, hey, I've been canceled. Many other people have been canceled. The media can lose their budget and be shut down. They can make laws making media this, right? That's what politicians can do. I'm not saying they have. You guys can put your own opinions, leave your comments on the side, like, subscribe. But you can do all of that stuff, right? The government can do all of that stuff. And who does like a little, I'm labor, right? Like, I got no recourse. You're like, yeah, you're canceled. Okay. I will scream and yell louder, but that's how they can do it. But in a parliamentarian, they can't do that to you. This is why I like our Westminster-type system. They can't just get rid of them. They can't be like, well, we're going to cancel. You're like, no, they're paid by the taxpayers, and you don't have a say, right? Now they can minimize it, only show up once in a while. Like, the leader doesn't have to be the only one to answer the questions, and that's what Mark Carney signaled today. He said that he's not going to be the only one taking questions. He's going to take questions. Other people in his cabinet will, where it was like Trudeau had I don't know what you call it, tradition. He was doing it every Wednesday. He took every question, and that kind of got. I think it was too much. The whole hour was a bit much. Like, I think they should pick and choose their questions. Like, what happens is they. This is kind of I'm not too. It's good and bad, right? Like everything, right? But this one especially is good and bad. It's the garden of good and evil. The opposition parties hand the questions to the government of the day early, right? Day before, whatever have you. And so it gives them a chance and an opportunity to properly research the question, but it also gives their, we'll call them spinster minions, to spin all kinds of BS and whatever also. So sometimes they don't answer the question. So I think they should be able to reserve the right for a secondary question, because a lot of times, like, to ask another one not on the list, because like for a party, because if they're not answering the question, just ask it again, right? Just ask it again, because it's saying, with the rebuttal saying, hey, you didn't answer my question, please, will you, But anyway, they give them the questions and gives them a chance to, to find out the real answer, or to give them the spinsters. And that's basically how it goes. What do they... But this call to, we must have kumbaya, and we're all on the same Team Canada. We all are on the same Team Canada. And I believe, like it or not, that scrutiny and this and that it helps. If you're like, the King Tut, and you say, hey, away with you with your awful, evil questions, well, then you're probably not going to get any better. But scrutiny helps. Like, I remember... I was the youngest guy in a unit by decades, and like they're all over me because I hadn't gone through the BS, and they were pissed that I went to the unit without starting in infantry, and they're like, buttons, your buttons, like all these, your buttons, look at my like 3 hairs that I could grow. Go shave. I had to shave sometimes. Like under my one boss, he made me shave twice in a day. I shaved in the morning with a Mach 3 razor, good razor, and I had like peach. And but there was a hair that did grow. He noticed it. I'll tell you, kept me on the ball. Now this is the same idea that I believe is why our Westminster system works, because there's a lot of people who did not want this party to come in, and it gives them a voice. It gives them a legal voice, not just a media voice or some yah-yah like me or some other yah-yah. It gives people an opportunity to have their voice in Parliament all year round, not just at vote day. Now, sometimes it can go too far, right? And that's where we have a speaker. You have we have the speaker. Where is he? There he is. That's where we have a speaker of the party that basically, right, that the speaker of the party is there to I don't know about handing out fines, but kick people out, make sure that decorum is properly. And I like, in the United Kingdom, they have the same thing, right? Westminster's type system. And their speakers, their last few speakers have they been saucy. They make fun of the other MPs. I hope that this guy, he is right there, Frank Scapagelli. We'll call him Frank the Tank. I hope that he also is like that. Because, hey, you get kicked out of question period, it's not a big deal. But it gives good clips. And it also sets the tone of where he wants, firm hand. And it makes it more, I don't know, I like it. I think it's good. The more the speaker isn't trying to make everyone into children speak, but hits back, it's better, right? Because like I said, look, first of all, it's 2 o'clock. Kids are in school. children in school. It's not about children. It's about the adults' playground. Now, and teaching decorum for our politicians and us alike, right? Like the one guy says, let's learn a little bit more about getting better for each of us, right? And I'm on top chat here. How's the volume? Niagara Nancy, did you vote Conservative? Conservatives did very well in Niagara, and very well. There's definitely an uptick. I think, like this, Niagara is one of the worst places for the housing crisis by far. Like $800,000 homes, average home 600, and when you're talking like 7 years ago, like 20,000 shitbox homes. But you know what I mean. You could find a home for 60, 70,000. Now, like the cheap, like 700, 800,000. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. You're looking at property lots at 300,000. It's just, and this was a blue collar area. And then we have the tourist industry. Well, tourist industry doesn't pay very well. It's a great job. It's a fun job, but the tourist industry the service part, it's not a high paying job. So there's a lot of these people that are in Niagara Falls here. Hey Google, turn off alarm. I had my alarm set. I was reading a book, and it's interesting, but it's a learning book. And sometimes, without the coffee, right? I said no coffee. You can go nappy. Oh yeah, Nancy, homelessness is crazy. It is, and this is like Niagara. This is Niagara. It was blue collar. It was a blue collar area, and now there's homelessness. I remember there's that park in St. Catharines. I don't know what the hell is it called, the Love Canal. Why is there a hair here? I just cleaned up. I'm not overly cleanliness person. Anyway, this park in St. Catharines is like downtown, and I went to go walk in there, and it was crazy. It was there's tents. There's all these things, and okay, I liked what Carney said today or yesterday. He had an interview with CBC, and he said something what I've been saying for a long time. The housing crisis is not millionaires don't need a house. So the last housing plan under Trudeau was they were giving money to the cities, no matter what type of homes they were built. Just they were giving them money. I was like, this is stupid. There's a demand. There's a demand for million-plus homes. There is, right? We know this. It's not it's a fact. But there's also the largest demand for the low-income homes because the investor classes get in here. And if you're an investor, the majority of investors are in the lower-price homes. So, right? That's where the biggest crisis is. First of all, people can't afford it. So there's no the bottom, like here, $800,000 for the lowest-price homes. Because there's just anyway. So he said that what I wanted to hear. He says, "Hey, we're going to laser focus is the words he chose on lower income homes." He says we're going to do a deep. And he didn't give any. He didn't give any details, and the CBC questioner didn't even ask any. He didn't even to me. I was like, oh. There we go. Come on, keep rolling with those questions because that's what makes it. He's saying we're going directly. We're laser focused on the lower income homes, whatever the hell, the lowest income homes for starter homes. The best way to call it is starter homes. But I don't see anything in his plan that is for that directly, except giving money to I think it was $10 billion, which is a nice amount of money. $10 billion to developers to build more homes, basically it used to be everyone wanted a house. That was what basically everyone can. But first we have to do is, I believe right now we have a crisis. We just got to get people out of tents into homes. So just high rises, it's pretty simple, and have them priced different market. And then once people buy that type of a home, then they're in the market. Okay, fine. Then we don't have to worry about the rest of the market. You're in the market, but if they put like $100 billion into the low-income homes, getting people into the wheel, then we don't have to worry about crashing the market and waiting for a bubble till people find homes. It's just have a secondary market of these smaller whatever type units, and they're not they're sold as starter homes, so people don't move into them. You have to watch to see that there's no investors in it, and you have only first-time home buyers in it, and dump all kinds of money into it. They dumped all kinds of money into everything else under the sun. They can do it to the problem they created. But the question of CBC, he dropped the ball, in my opinion, on this one. He had the Prime Minister. He said, we're laser-focused. Okay, he's going to do that. Now, the other thing, he has $25 billion into... Okay, I hope I'm going to eat my words on this, but I think it's silly. It's going to help. It's going to help these prefab homes. Now, these prefab homes, it's the future. It really is. You know what I mean? You snap them all together. It just kind of makes sense. And build it in a factory, because factory you can isolate the controls, engineer controls. You know what I mean? You have little lines these guys walk. Where if you've ever worked construction, it's chaos. It's literally every job is different. Every manager's different. It's just fucking, pardon my French. It's chaos. Yeah, they do. That's where the governments were just like, but the problem is they're not. Nancy, to your comment, they're not. They're just living for decades outside. It's just unbelievable. You know, and it's like shoo fly. And it really doesn't make it. And then when we're going to bring in more immigrants, so somehow they're going to be better people. Like, it makes no sense. But the $25 billion, what's most likely going to happen is these companies are going to they're going to buy better table saws, and they're going to make their efficiencies better, right? So they'll be able to make more money. Majority of it. They have to be able to focus it on ingenuity. They have to give these companies money so they can start a department to make better, faster homes. That's what I believe. And then this is how I'll eat my words. I think I'm on the fence with this plan. It's decent that he's putting the $25 billion, but it could just go into just better table saws and making the company more money, making their profit margin bigger with the taxpayers' dollars, which isn't right. That's why it needs to be focused on making these companies or giving these companies the opportunity to invest in research and, right, like home building research. How do we make these prefab homes better, faster, cheaper, so we could pump these things out? Because if Canada, if we figure this out good enough, we actually could ship these things around the world. Like China does it a little bit. Turkey does it as well. They do these Francis Scarpelleggia. I like the guy. I think he's going to be a bit saucier. But we could actually start shipping full-made homes from Canada. You look at Canada. You look at a picture, some American or some German or some Frenchman is sitting there, and his thing is like, maybe I'll buy this home from Canada, made with Canadian wood and clean products and 100% whatever the hell, right? And then they're buying, literally, we could create, it's possible. If this is done right, and this is where I'll eat my words on this program, if a company or many of these companies figure out how to be able to ship these prefab homes around the world, we actually could have the housing industry could be, factory housing industry could be Canada. But really, I think there should be, it should be concrete and steel. They take all taxes off of the concrete. The concrete industry in Canada isn't very big. There's only a few companies that do it, so it's simple. You just, like it or not, we got to butter those concrete companies up left, right, and center. They don't pay any income tax. They don't pay any taxes. Done. So they can drop their wages and, you know what I mean, things like that. They don't pay any taxes in any shape or form. Like I said, 3 companies, and it's not a huge part of our money. But that's one way how to just bring it down, because concrete buildings, they really are for the people of the future. People don't go outside as much. People don't have gardens and stuff like that. And then when they do, it's when they have the money to hire a landscaper. The majority, right? And I'm talking about fixing a problem. I'm not talking about Shangri-La. Shangri-La is you buy your own grass and all this stuff. I don't think that the government should be worried about that. When people will be happy and just getting a home, even in small family homes. So concrete and steel production as well. I think you just take taxes off of it, 100% taxes. And I'm not talking GST. I mean the companies, what they pay. That's my belief for a 5-year period. Just give them a 5-year run. Say, look, if you sell in Canada, you don't pay any of these things, right? Export marketed different animal. But this is I think simply how it does. Now there's another thing They pre-approved buildings. These should be done. We're waiting on this. We're just waiting on this stuff. But thanks, Harley. Do you you're from that town? I don't know who you are. Lanky. Still on the drugs, eh? But having the steel industry, but there's a new type of build that's going on. There's a new type of build. This is from yesterday, so I'm waiting on Parliament to start today. There we go. There's they call them low-rise buildings. So they used to only be able to make about 4-story buildings before out of wood, stick and batten they call it. Well, there's a new way in engineered design that they can make wood buildings like 7, 8 stories, and they go up really, really fast. So an 8-story wood building, and they're strong, durable, and all this good stuff. That could be the solution because that's the fastest way for, I believe, single bedroom, tiny little units, like hotel size apartments. The government should really produce that. But I believe the best way, personally, would be to, the parks are dangerous. I believe that the government should work with the engineering companies, a bunch of them, and make 3 different pre-approved models. So these people who want to build these low-income things and allow it in certain towns, that's the problem. Cities don't want them. But these low-income homes or low-rise buildings, that would be perfect. That would be the perfect way to do it, right? Have a pre-approved, so all these guys, and then the permit process would be, helped assisted by the government itself. Pre-engineered and all that. What do we got here? Ida Greenwood. There is a need for addiction prevention and treatment. Yeah, I concur. I wrote a book on this stuff. Daniela Smith and some of her policies of late about the separatism have annoyed me. But she's actually separatism in Alberta. Apparently, they just did a poll and it's actually going down. The more they talk about it, the less people are like, "Ooh, it's not a good idea." But she has a tough on drugs policy, tough on addiction policy, and it's great. It's a great policy. It's basically like, you're on the street, you have a medical issue, we're going to put you into treatment. And at least for 3 months, we're going to see how it's going. But basically, her plan has been basically tough on addiction. And they have the highest rates of people getting off drugs than any other province in the country since they took this stance. I think it just makes sense. You get people exercising, education, and a safe space out of the drug scene. They put them in the country. They have these farm programs where they go work 3-4 hours a day to go. They don't get paid. Maybe they do a little bit, but it's not real money. It's for their consumables money, right? But they don't get paid really great money. They go work on a farm for 3 hours, not long hours, but 3 hours a day. Go work with help with the farm and this and that. Any farmer who's willing to take it, and then it gives people a purpose, gets people off the drugs, gets people out of that cycle of head banging, attitude. Because these drugs are not the drugs of the day. If our police can't stop it, we have to at least alleviate the effects that it has on the populace. That's what a government's for, right? And they haven't been doing it. They've just basically been doing, well, I don't know, we can't do anything. Now, it's okay to do this and then finish with the sentence, finish with what you are going to, I don't know, but we can do this. That's how I believe. It's just but you got to throw your hands up in the air, I think, when we can't stop it. And the big goal is we're not shipping more drugs to the States. Yeah, but we have more people dying in Canada. Sorry, I should put this. I'm live. Sorry, this is from yesterday. Actually, Harley, I'll let you back because I get you. This is from yesterday, the House of Commons. We're waiting in about 10 minutes. I'm waiting. Maybe you were with me. Glad you're here. Waiting in about 9 minutes for Parliament to start. I haven't started. This is just from yesterday's feed. Have a good day, Nancy. Okay. Because I'm on studio. Yeah. Okay. So it's great. It's great. I'll let you back here. Harley. Oh, and this Albert guy. Oh gosh. Albert, I'm sorry you are not coming back. But Harley, yeah, okay. But there's basically a lot of work that needs to be done. He also said in the interview that we're gonna hear something about NATO. NATO. But there's basically a lot of work that needs to be done. Yeah, they're going to give money to NATO. They're going to give money to we don't know exactly what it is, but he said one thing that's pretty thing. He says 75 cents of every dollar that we spend on the military goes to the United States of America. Now they sell some really good. They got some good equipment. That really is. They get the war machine that we won't have, right? But like he said, he says we got to change that. He said at least it should be, sprinkle it around, but it should be spent in Canada. Like, this is unbelievable that, at least like we're an industrialized nation. It's not like we're like Rhodesia, some island nation with no manufacturing base. We should be making our own tanks and our own things, copied similar, having them similar, and working with the states, like a lot of parts, and especially the TAC and the comms and stuff like that. Of course, buying parts with America, with what I mean, having partnerships with certain companies. You going for a run there, Niagara Nancy? All right. So yeah, we basically have. There we go. I'll put that awaiting the Prime Minister. So people think that's it. Yeah, it's the first day, Mr. Patton. All right. So that's where we're at. We have a major shift towards military spending. It's Trump said it's going to be about $61 billion for the 61 billion for the Golden Dome. Sorry, I thought of another word, and I almost said it by accident. It's going to be, 61 billion for the Golden Dome. Now, the Golden Dome is an integrated system of satellites, fixed missile points, and radars of storage. Of course, it'll use a lot of that's already be in place. It's a web, okay. And he says he's going to have it done in 3 years, okay. So if we don't put our money into it, and Trump said it's going to cost $61 billion. If we don't put our money into it, we're going to have problems with the states. We definitely will. We're going to have – it doesn't matter if Trump's in the next time or whatever, right? We'll have problems with the states if we don't put pony up the $61 billion for the protection of these missiles, right? Yeah, it won't be a good thing. And the thing is with this system, as the world's getting, hairy, whatever, well, look at what the Ukraine – how much do you think the Ukraine – would have spent or will spend if they were concerned about Russia, if this everything goes down? Do you think they'll spend $200 billion? Of course they will. It's a rich enough country. They would spend $300 billion. How much do you think the Israelis would spend to be rest assured that they have the three layers, the Moses, the David Sling, and all that, the Iron Dome of Israel has been built. Israel and in American companies, right? And it's not the leading tech. It's good, but it's not the leading of the best of the anymore, right? It's the first of its kind. system, but there's a lot more. The states held back on a few things, right? Um, because they want to. But so maybe it's a possibility. How much do you think Israel would spend to get basically to rest assured that they have the best systems in the world? Remember that these new Kinjals and the China Kinjals is the Russian one, but the supersonic ones in China has them as well. What they can do with these things, they spin them around the world and then they hit. This is not like before. They're like point A, and you're like, oh, look at how slow. No, it's like you're looking at it going around the world at that speed, unbelievably fast. And they're going to be made. They're most likely going to be made in mass by China as they get richer. This is the big fear. You just think about it, Niagara Falls, right? You could hit Niagara Falls. There goes all the power in a lot of areas. Oh, I got a comment here. Okay, Real History Explained. Oh, Linda. Hi, Linda. We don't need high rises. We need freeloaders to go. Oh, well, Linda is not. Okay, Linda. Be happier. What the thing is with capitalism, I'll explain one thing about capitalism. The way I understand it is that what we do need is to have see if you own a business and if you're not as taxes go up, as things go up, expansion is how capitalism works, right? As more people, that's kind of the flaw in capitalism. It has to expand. So either people have to have more money in their pockets or you have to have more people to sell to. And we haven't been breeding enough. You probably did your part, maybe, I imagine. But not enough people have been doing their part to expand the population to keep capitalism going. If it continues, one generation, we could be one generation that this place would be awful, like really, really bad. We tried to get European nations to come in. We did all this stuff, like Australia, like welfare. People aren't coming because the economies of scale in Canada aren't good enough. So we have to bring in countries that, that they're getting, they're getting a lift. Now, India is at the point, I'm surprised we're actually getting India people coming still. Like their country, there's more opportunity for prosperity in India than there is in Canada. So I really don't understand. Like, we do get the wealthy ones, so they've made their money in that country, and then they need to come here and stuff like that. Now, that makes sense, okay. We're just a safer country. But to me, there's just prosperity, and I'm not kidding. Like, there's a place, just look up Goa. Goa in the 80s was, like, scary. And now it's, like, more modern than Miami. It's weird. But I'm not going to. Whoa, woo. Back to QP says, Real History Explained. This is Harlot. Oh, hi, Harlot. Making AI history videos for funsies, so I rebranded. Oh, so is that your site? Okay, I'm going to hyperlink to I'm going to go to your channel. Damn it. Okay, it won't let me go. Oh, Harlot 420. Yeah, that's a better name. I think it is very dangerous to open the Pandora's box of weapons in space, similar to nuclear. Yeah, you're right. I can completely concur. The weapons in space, but it's we can't stop it. I want it to stop, but it's not. We're at the point where our wealthy Harvard class, who doesn't care about our middle class, decided we're going to go to the places where they can treat, where they don't necessarily do. But they can legally treat their people like human vermin, and so because we make more money, this is where all of our everyone's like, oh, it's China. It really wasn't. China basically allowed investment to come in. That was really what it is. Now they do have some nasty at the beginning. Now they have some nasty policies that are like, hey, you have to give us transfer your knowledge and stuff like that. But there's companies. Apple was spending 62 to 64 billion dollars a year. 62 to 64 billion dollars a year in training. That's more than we spend on universities. So Apple basically is one of the big. There's a book on it. The Daily Show actually told me this, but $64 billion a year on training. training people about the new age and stuff like that. So we basically big part of what happened was it was our elites, our wealthy investor class, I like to call them because it sounds nastier, shipped a lot of our money over there because they made more higher profit. Listen, we heard I'm not going to say names, but there's like you make 3-4% investment money here in Canada, or you make 20% of your money in China. Well, what happened was now we have an adversary that's worthy. They're luckily, happily, China has such an ancient culture of peace. It's a peaceful nation that they're basically using proxies. Russia is now a proxy of China. 3 years ago, just before the pandemic, actually, so 5 or whatever, they signed an unlimited friendship, and that basically said that all of the wheat that Russia, all of the oil, all of these things, they said we'll buy as much as you can give to us. Now they aren't fulfilled 100% on all these things because Russia's also selling to other people, and these sanctions and the fears. But basically, the iron ore, the wheat, the majority of what Russia produces is they have a deal to sell it with China. So that's what's producing this war. That's why all these sanctions against Russia haven't really affected Russia because they're like, well, we mainly sell iron ore and copper and stuff like that, potash, fertilizers, wheat, simple products, right? And China's going to buy it all. So we haven't had the effect that we thought. Their tech sector, their high-end stuff is hurting more, but that's not the majority. Like 90% of what they sell is bulk stuff. So 5 minutes. China and Russia, in effect, you will give all to us. China to Russia, in fact. Yeah, they did. China said that. They said we'll sell. But remember, they both had the same communist flag. You know what I mean? Like, they're very, very closely aligned besides their neighbors. There's a lot of alignment there. So, it's kind of expected. Hopefully Trump's idea was to bring Putin and Russia into the Western fold, and we're like, hey, we won't play so hardball with you anymore. Because we did. We played, when Russia fell, we let our investors go in there, and they took, before Putin came in, and this is something I heard from Russians that left there, like, you Americans, and whatever, I'm Canadian. I must have told him 500 times. But it's like, you Americans, we said we want to vote with you guys, and you came in, and you bought up all of our companies, and then you helped make us poorer. Like, Russia was in a very bad state. Crime was, unbelievable. Their country was going to hell. Putin came in with a strong arm. This is what they don't say. Why is Putin really so much liked? Well, because Putin stopped a lot of major crime. Like, people were getting extortion, and the police couldn't stop anything. People were selling weapons and military equipment. Ukraine was really, but Lord of War, watch that movie. It was happening all across Russia, and not just with weapons, like with property, with factories, and people were just going there and gutting it. And criminal empires that were internal, external, you know what I mean? American, Russian, right? They weren't internal. They were mostly external and with, played with investors, now they call oligarchs, whatever. And Putin put a big handle. Oh, yeah, their women were being bought and sold, drugged up, sold out of the country. We're talking in millions, 400 million people. They had 30, 40 million hookers across the world. Putin put an end to that. Now, you can see it. Look, he went to the Middle East, and he made deals with them. He said, bringing our women home. You know what I mean? Protecting this is a big deal. Now, I'm not a Putin lover, but there's consequences of the action, right? And they got close to us, and it hurt. So anyway, that's a little bit more. And then now he's super friends with them, and now he's like, okay, well, what do I have to do? Ukraine decided to go in the EU, and there we go. Merz, M-E-R-Z, Merz, the new German chancellor, has just today, 5 hours ago, said that he's going to assist and help produce long-range missiles in the Ukraine. So the Taurus missile, if anyone knows about those 500-kilometer really fast ones, they're not supersonic. but really fast ones, the Germans are now going to work with the Ukraine to be making. So they're bulking up the Ukraine military. As it looks like, the Germans are getting into the mix, which no one really wanted that. But hey, it is what it is. We can't change that. Okay, I'm going live to Parliament. But he's helping the Ukraine make these long-range missiles, so they have bulk up their thing. Trump has been very upset, he said, with Putin. It looks like the happy, nice Trump on Putin is going to. That's it. All right. Hasn't started yet. We're almost there. 1 minute to go. Sure, a lot of time. Oh, why is it doing that? Okay, so. Yeah. Okay, so 1 more minute. Oh, what happened here? Got an error. Got a widget here. Got to open the widget. Why? Yes. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So I got screens everywhere. I should put them all in front, so I'm looking at the screen. I think I'll be changing that next soon. It take a long time, but hey, it looks like there's going to be some. The Germans are stepping up in the European theater with France, and now with this Golden Dome, most likely a lot of people are going to be countries are going to be investing in it after America's was built. It'll just most likely be sold to other countries, very, very friendly countries. All right, here, I'll do that. To other friendly countries. Okay, here we go. Do we got it? It's 2:01. Where are you? Oh, I want it. Something. Parliamenti. All right. Getting excited. Nope, I don't think so. So waiting. Oh, that will be now. Here we go. Here we go. Huh? Yeah, it hasn't opened yet. We're waiting. Wait, or I'm waiting. You're waiting. Where everyone's waiting. It hasn't started yet. They haven't let the screen on. We are. It's coming, of course. Nice picture of Niagara Falls. Okay, but there seems to be a little delay with these politicians in the last few minutes. Why? It should be starting at 2 exactly, but hey. We don't have such such timely politicians, do we? Okay, righty. I can't wait. This is good. So Mark Carney, it should be pretty hard hitting, I think. Andrew Scheer, if his signal of yesterday was any indicator, it's going to be busy. It is like he. I thought he was being pretty gentle on it and be like, yeah, meek-ish, but it wasn't. Okay, why? Oh, the speaker's speaking. I think what's happening is the speaker is speaking his address and privately trying to, speak to the politicians. Well, get them all sorted. Okay. All right. Get excited. We're live. Live in Ottawa.
Qui va nous mener dans le chant de l'hymne national.
Hold on here.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land. True
Come on, sing along.
love in all of us common. Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
Sorry, I shouldn't.
God keep our land.
You're getting both versions.
Glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on God's holy. Oh, Canada, we stand on God's
He did it. There we go. Look at that guy.
Que l'on ouvre les portes. May the doors be open.
Let the doors be open, he said.
Statements by members.
Okay, 15 minutes.
Déclaration de députés. The honourable member from Cumberland, Colchester.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 5 years ago, Portapique, Nova Scotia faced an unimaginable tragedy. But what happened next in my riding is an important lesson in what resilience looks like. The people of Portapique didn't just survive, they organized. Working with the Rotary Club of Truro, they said, we will not be defined by our darkest hours. Through generosity of donors from across Canada and support from all levels of government, they transformed tragedy into community. On June 1st, we celebrate the first anniversary of the opening of the Portapique Community Center, proof that when communities unite, we can create spaces that honor our past while building toward a happier, healthier future. I thank them for their example, and I thank you for the time.
The honourable member for Edmonton Manning.
The plan for Canada to become the world's leading energy superpower is just an empty promise. Where's the investment in infrastructure? Where's the commitment to repeal the job-killing liberal anti-energy laws from the last parliament? Albertans wants to know if this government understands how important our clean, ethical fossil fuels are to the Canadian economy and to the world. Is the throne speech just rhetoric, or are the Liberals finally willing to face reality? The demand for Alberta products is there, but the delivery method is lacking. The previous Prime Minister told those who's looking to buy Canadians oil and gas that they really did not want to buy it. Will the new Prime Minister commit to a west-east pipeline to move Alberta oil and gas to the Canadian and European markets? Albertans wants to know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Whitby.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today for the first time in the 45th Parliament with a deep sense of gratitude and humility. To the people of Whitby, thank you for placing your trust in me for a third time. It's been the honor of my life to serve since 2019, and I remain committed more than ever to delivering results that improve the lives of people in our community. To the incredible volunteers and supporters who powered our campaign, thank you so very much for your time, your energy, and your heart, which made the difference in our success. And to my incredible family, my wife Suze, daughters Alexis and Brooke, my mother-in-law Verna, and my nephew Ryan, thank you for your unwavering support and all your sacrifice. I couldn't do this without you. Now, there are many challenges ahead, Mr. Speaker, but our priorities are clear. Protect Canada's sovereignty, address affordability challenges, keep communities safe, and build the strongest economy in the G7. I look forward to contributing to the hard-working team that will deliver results for Canadians.
Member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, I'm humbled to rise today to thank the incredible people of Parry Sound, Muskoka, who have placed their trust in me to represent them here in this House for the third time. This seat, of course, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the people I serve. From the majestic French River in the north to the historic Trent Severn in the south, from the rugged shores of Georgian Bay to the heights of Algonquin Park, it is an honor to serve the people who call our magnificent region home. But you know, throughout the election, I heard from countless people about the issues that are important to them: cost of living, safety in our streets, protecting hunters' rights, and of course, the outrageous price of homes. And today I want to reassure all the people of Parry Sound, Muskoka that I am here to advocate for you and for your voice to be heard in this House, your House of Commons. You have placed your trust in me, and I promise to earn that trust every single day. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Argenteuil-La Petite Nation. Mr. Speaker, today I'm proud to highlight the exceptional talent of 3 young people from my riding who distinguished themselves at the Quebec Skills and Technology Olympics held in Quebec City from the 7th to the 10th of May 2025. In cooking, Théolie Lajoie won the gold medal, demonstrating a remarkable mastery of her art. In industrial mechanics, Mathis Roson also won a gold medal, demonstrating his ingenuity and rigour. And in pastry making, Geneviève de Mello won the bronze medal, highlighting her promising talent in this demanding profession. These 3 medalists are students at CFP Innovation Outaouais, an institution in my riding that trains the next generation with passion and excellence. I warmly congratulate them for their hard work, their perseverance, and their success. They are inspiration to the entire community, and we are extremely proud of them. Bravo, Théolie, Mathis, and Geneviève.
The honourable member for Battle River, Crowfoot.
In the last Parliament, I introduced a private member's bill, something that will again be reintroduced soon. This bill, an act to recognize a national livestock brand as a symbol of Canada, aims to acknowledge and promote the role farmers, ranchers, and the whole of the agriculture and animal husbandry sector, plus so much of our history, like pioneers, Indigenous peoples, resource industries like mining in the oil patch, hunters, trappers, and anyone else who played a role in building our country from coast to coast to coast. As I plan to step down as soon as possible, I hope to see this conversation on this important issue continue. This livestock brand is a heraldic symbol added to the national inventory of Canadian symbols, would be a fitting way to recognize a huge part of our country's history. At a time when national unity is at stake, this bill would be important to show that Western and frontier culture played and still plays a prominent role in the building of Canada. Conservatives get this? I hope the whole House will join in support of this bill.
The honourable member for Milton East, Halton. Hamilton Hills South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I share the story of the grades 4 and 5 classes at Glen Williams Public School in Georgetown, Ontario, and that of their dedicated teachers and parents who are actually visiting Ottawa today. These teachers assign their students to craft a letter sharing their vision for the future of Canada. The final product was so inspirational that it garnered national attention and a visit from the Prime Minister. I thank teachers across Canada who bring this type of civic education to their schools. I'm sure we can all agree that education is the foundation of a strong, united, compassionate country. Canada's youth should be able to look to their leaders to set a guiding example. It's certainly a reminder for me, Mr. Speaker, and I hope to my member colleagues to always lead with respect, integrity, and purpose because the children are watching.
The Honourable Member for Berthier-Masquis-Longet. In a few days, Mr. Speaker, it will be World Milk Day. So let's raise a glass to celebrate this simple yet essential food. Milk has stood the test of time and cultures, and it is much more than just a simple drink. It is a treasure trove of benefits. It nourishes our bodies, strengthens our bones, and complements our morning cereal and sweet desserts in the evening. World Milk Day is also an opportunity to celebrate the commitment of the producer.
Really? Did we really need a milk day? I'm not sure.
Who every single day with passion and perseverance provide us with this rich resource. It is a day to reflect upon how milk reaches our tables, thanks to the work that is invisible to most of us, but absolutely essential. So today, let us think about that glass of milk and the supply management system that supports it, just as it supports our farmers who get up every morning and keep our regions dynamic and vibrant. Cheers and happy World Milk Day to all.
Happy Milk Day! Really?
The honourable member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
Does that include almond milk?
Years ago today, Albert Christian was born in Waterloo, Ontario. At age 17, he was in the local barber shop and overheard two older guys talking about heading to London where they were going to enlist in the Canadian Army. Bert asked if he could tag along, which he did. Bert passed all the tests, exams, and interviewed and was enlisted despite having lied about his age. Bert served in France, Belgium, Poland, and Germany with the Essex Scottish Regiment. It was in Germany that he fought on the front lines in the Hochwald Forest against the Nazis. Bert had 3 brothers that served in the war as well. All 4 brothers returned home from the war alive and well. Bert met another 4 brothers in Europe that were from Manitoulin Island who also returned home safe and sound. They invited Bert to join them when they returned to Canada, and he did. That is where he met his future wife, Maureen. At the age of 63, Bert retired to Owen Sound to be close to family. Bert had 2 children, David and Rick, and has 2 grandchildren, Candace and Corey. One saying Bert always says, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. And he still says that he would do it all again. Happy 100th birthday, Bert. Pro Patria.
The honourable member for Richmond East, Stevenston.
It's an honor to be elected, and I'm very grateful to the residents of Richmond East, Stevenston, for placing their trust in me once again to serve as their voice in this House. I dedicate this statement in memory of a childhood friend, Suki Baya, who sadly passed during the election. One election issue raised in our community was the urgent need for mental wellness and wraparound supports. May is Mental Health Awareness Month in Canada, and policymakers ought to be aware of the challenges Canadians face. According to the Canadian Mental Health Association, the rate of suicide for Canadian men is 3 times higher than for women. However, women are hospitalized for self-harm twice as often as men. As
spilled my water.
Sticky water. I call on all levels of government to come together and invest in mental health as a cornerstone of building healthy, resilient, and thriving communities for all Canadians.
The honourable member for York Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a privilege to rise in the House of Commons for the first time. I'm honored to serve the beautiful riding of York Centre, located in the great city of Toronto. It's also home to one of Canada's largest Jewish communities, to which I belong.
Hold on.
The honourable member
To protect the Jews were grave and to live free from violence. A mile away from my North York home has been shot at 3 times. Enough is enough.
Awful.
Conservatives stand with Canada's Jewish community.
Yeah, there has been too much of this going on, and it has, of course, the wars overseas. They never stay over there. That's why you have to have. And I'm sorry, I got my fan going. You have to have like an active government talking against it to lower it in Canada. It's here we should use our words, not anything else. Let other countries have shoals of hatred, and here let rhetoric be enough. I don't know. I think there needs to be a little bit more pushback. A couple MPs were like, "Well, look at my riding and the percentage." You don't condemn people for their views. You condemn them for their actions, right? As long as they don't incite violence upon another person, it's allowed in this country. I don't agree with it, but that's just the way. I think they need to push back a little bit more on it, as I don't think it's getting any better over there in that part of the world. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. It doesn't mean much. Is Roman Baber? He was ousted out of the out of Doug Ford's supermajority cabinet, and he's got some spice in his rhetoric. He looks healthier. He looks the healthiest he's been in a long time, and he got a speaking engagement here. So let's see how that goes. Hopefully we'll have the Conservatives, because in Alberta and where their heartland is, I hope the Conservatives start talking about national unity more, because it's a problem in their home, right? It's like worrying about what the neighbor's eating when you're you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I think that the Conservatives need to start doing, is cleaning up that little problem.
And take all necessary measures to protect the Jewish community. I know that my Conservative colleagues will fight for the safety of Jews all across Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Mississauga, Aaron Mills.
Congratulations, Mr. Speaker, on your to all members of Parliament. To this House. I look forward to working together as Canadians, serving Canadians. I also want to thank the people of Mississauga, Erin Mills, to my phenomenal team and volunteers
I think
for once
the feed
again
is
placing
just
their trust in me.
because it's really
an
busy.
honor to continue representing our beautiful community. Canadians have chosen a government led by our Prime Minister that's ready to meet the challenges ahead. Global instability, threats to sovereignty, and urgent pressures on housing and affordability. Our government has laid out a clear path, building a strong, inclusive economy, strengthening Canada's global role, and deepening ties with our allies. We're focused on delivering real results, creating opportunity, removing interprovincial trade barriers to build one strong Canadian economy. Let's get to work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
Mr. Speaker, I wish my first intervention in the House on behalf of the people of Nanaimo, Ladysmith was under better circumstances. But our community is in crisis. In 2024, Nanaimo lost 94 people to overdoses, more than 3 times the number in 2016 when the BC government declared the opioids crisis a public health emergency. Families are grieving. Neighborhoods feel the weight of this tragedy. The safe supply experiment has failed. People are suffering. Crime is up. It has truly been a lost decade. Conservatives know that it is time to invest in treatment, to recriminalize hard drugs like fentanyl, and to provide real mental health supports, not taxpayer-funded drugs that fuel addiction. It's time for common sense solutions that restore hope and bring our loved ones home drug-free.
The honourable member for Halifax.
I stand today, 1 month after my election, to thank the people of Halifax for having granted me their trust. It's the support of my community that has allowed me to access the House of Commons.
A special place, known to the Mi'kmaq who cared for the land for millennia as Chibuktuk, or Great Harbour. It's one of Canada's oldest cities. It's home to Black communities predating Confederation and is the birthplace of responsible government. Today, Halifax is a hub of research, innovation, and technology. We're home to Canada's ocean supercluster, and we lead in climate action, shipbuilding, and global trade. We're a vibrant and fast-growing maritime city, and our greatest strength has always been our people. Haligonians are resilient, caring, and driven. As I take my seat in the chamber, I am honored to be their champion in Ottawa, and I'm ready to get to work.
The honourable member for Transcona.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise today, I want to thank my family, friends, volunteers, and the hardworking people of Elmwood Transcona who place their trust in me and the Conservative Party. These are the Canadians who get up early, put on their boots, and build the country we love. I've been in their boots 18 years as a construction electrician, proud union member, and vice president of IBW Local 2085. The NDP and Liberals have abandoned unions. They have driven up inflation, housing costs, and taxes while supporting union-busting tactics. That's why more rank-and-file union members are turning to the Conservatives, many for the first time. Just weeks ago, we received support from local unions like the ILA, the UBC, IBEW, UA, Boilermakers, LIUNA, and many, many more. Conservatives are the party of blue-collar workers. We will keep working to earn and trust of Canadian workers and delivering strong, prosperous future they deserve.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Carleton.
This is the guy who took Pierre's seat, so that's probably why the Liberals are so darn excited for this guy to speak. Apparently, he wore 3 pairs of shoes out. He did boots on the ground. He did the boots on the ground campaign. Well, Pierre obviously was, in the upper stratosphere of national, running around the country, and he won his seat. It was a miraculous victory for such a he's a very popular politician. Like, it's not like he was unpopular across the country, as you can see from the YouTube videos. So anyway, I won't go on there. Leave your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues.
To thank the people of Carleton for the confidence they've. I will never take the honor of representing them for granted. I also wish to thank the hundreds of volunteers who believed that together we could. From Stittsville to Constance Bay, Riverside South to Metcalfe, Greeley to Richmond, and Manotick to Osgood, and all points in between, together we did. Now it's time to embrace every moment in this House and in all of our ridings to build a future in which all Canadians can thrive in the true North, strong and free.
Questions. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, Andrew Scheer. Let's see. This should be good. This should be really good. Get excited.
I would like to welcome the Prime Minister to his first official question period. This is where democracy lives, and this is where we provide rigorous scrutiny on every word he says and every dollar he spends on behalf of Canadians. Now, let's talk about those words and dollars. During the election campaign, it was elbows up as he put retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. Then secretly, he dropped those tariffs to effectively zero. But he didn't stop there. He told Canadians that the government would collect $20 billion in revenue from those tariffs and use it to cost his platform. Now that those tariffs are going to bring in $0, 2 quick questions. Why wasn't he honest with Canadians during the election? And how is he going to make up the shortfall? Is he going to borrow it, print it,
or tax it? The right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, may I first thank my constituents from Nepean for giving me the honour of
covering his behind.
Could you also indulge me to say how great it is to see you in the Speaker's chair, and I trust that you're operating under the period of grace that will not be accorded to me. Appropriately, as the Leader of the Opposition just said. Mr. Speaker, our tariffs have maximum impact on the United States, minimum impact on Canada, and we are dedicating all the revenues from those tariffs to supporting the workers and businesses affected by the unjustified American actions.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Well, he didn't take long to pick up old Liberal habits of not being able to answer questions. But since the election, Canadians have been inundated with grand rhetoric and pretty speeches from this Liberal Party, but they are still suffering under all those policies. Household debt up at record levels. Number of people who can't pay their mortgages increasing. Food bank use continuing to rise. Now TD Bank is forecasting a recession with hundreds of thousands of lost jobs. The PM said undoing the damage of the last 10 years would require great speed, but he's not going to table a budget for 6 months. If he's the man with the plan and the guy you hire in a crisis, why won't he table a budget before he goes on summer vacation? The right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I understand the member of the opposition is very busy. Didn't have a chance to study closely the 100-day plan of the former member from Ottawa, Carleton, which did not include a budget. Our plan includes legislating. Our plan includes legislating for one Canadian economy and nation-building projects immediately to grow this economy, and we expect the support from all in this House.
Oh, that was it. Here's a dig on Pierre already, eh? Ooh.
They must be really afraid to come clean with Canadians if they're going to punt it off into the fall. But, Mr. Speaker, with the throne speech yesterday, Liberals have effectively admitted that it was their policies that caused the suffering for Canadians. Their reckless borrowing and massive deficits caused the inflation. The carbon tax drove up prices and drove away investment. And their anti-development bills chased jobs out of Canada. Now, the Prime Minister is claiming that somehow the Liberals have changed. Well, he has a chance to prove it to Canadians. If he's serious, will he tell Canadians that pipelines are part of his values by repealing Bill C-69, the No More Pipelines bill? The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Canada's new government is acting immediately to grow this economy. I just made my maiden speech in this House. Canada's new government, Mr. Speaker, is acting immediately to grow this economy. One Canadian economy out of 13, nation-building projects, one project office, working with the provinces to cooperate. We expect the support from the members opposite.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister campaigned on the slogan, the man with a plan, but the problem is that he's refusing to tell Canadians what that plan is. A budget would have been a plan. The Liberals are going to go over a year without tabling a budget. That's never happened since the 60s. But what we do know is that this Prime Minister is determined to spend even more than Justin Trudeau, and he's refusing to tell Canadians how he intends to spend their money. What is the Prime Minister trying to hide about this Liberal government's finances? Mr. Speaker, the new Canadian government has a plan. It has a daring plan, an ambitious plan to bring together the Canadian economy, have one economy instead of 13, and in order to create new projects to build this great nation. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, what I'm seeing in front of me is the same ministers, the same government that's been in place for 10 years. We know the result of 10 years of this Liberal government. And what we have now, yes, is a new prime minister, but a prime minister with no plan. He said he had one, but he doesn't want to table a budget because he knows perfectly well that his plan is disastrous and that our public finances are in a terrible state. Will this prime minister commit to tabling a budget before the summer? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government will act immediately to cut taxes on the middle class by hundreds of dollars for the average family. We will also reduce or remove GST on new home builds. We have a plan, and we will be bringing in that plan immediately. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago, we were having an election campaign, and during the election campaign, we heard a lot about the threats of Donald Trump. Now, this government brought in retaliatory tariffs against Donald Trump, but then they discreetly took away those tariffs during the campaign. But they didn't say anything about it because they wanted to make sure that Canadians would stay scared. But now we have a $20 billion budget hole, and that's on top of a budget that already had a heavy deficit. Could we finally get a new budget so that we can understand what's going on with our finances? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member across the way must have been referring to the Conservative platform when he talked about the $20 billion deficit. Well, that's all right. Well, Mr. Speaker, we have counter tariffs against the Americans, and they will have maximum impact on the United States while having minimum impact in Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the topic that set off this election campaign and the entire basis of the Liberal strategy was the trade and tariff and even the annexation crisis that we've been seeing with Donald Trump. But despite this, yesterday's throne speech, read by a foreign monarch, did not mention trade. It did not mention tariffs. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm wondering how it is that this terrible crisis that got our Prime Minister elected, how did it just get forgotten in the throne speech? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, for those who were there at the throne speech, for those who were there, we heard about transformation in the throne speech, the transformation of the global trade system, which is a crisis for Canada, a security crisis for Canada. We have a daring plan in order to respond to this crisis. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, the Prime Minister will perhaps agree that some things are clearer when you read them than when you hear them. Now, the King's speech, centralizing, so centralizing that I think even Justin Trudeau must have felt embarrassed. Economy, one Canadian economy, without asking anyone what.
I guess it's my one computer.
Anyone what they thought of that, even though the National Assembly of Quebec unanimously denounced that notion. It seems that for the Prime Minister, Canada is just a country where the provinces are like the branches of a bank that is headquartered in Toronto, the Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are in the middle of an economic crisis. This is a time for unity. Yes, this crisis was created by the Americans, Mr. Speaker. This is a time for unity. This is why my ministers and I, or rather, the premiers and I will meet, the premiers of Quebec and the premiers of all the provinces will meet this weekend in Saskatoon. The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, it's a little bit like a military staff meeting where the general will give orders and expect everyone else to obey. Now, on another subject, let's talk about the climate crisis. That's an issue too, you know. It's causing all sorts of problems. It's causing damage for people. It's causing economic damage as well. We believe that we need to take strong action against the climate crisis. But yesterday, in the throne speech, we heard nothing about the climate. Instead, measures are being projected that will actually harm the climate and the environment. Does the Prime Minister recognize the existence of climate change? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, yes, of course, the climate crisis exists. And it's a major challenge facing our nation. And that's why Canada needs to become an energy superpower. This is not power. Both in traditional and green energy. And that's why in Alberta at the G7 next month, we will be holding a discussion on forest fires.
Lakeland. Yesterday, the PM said Canadians shouldn't focus on pipelines. We'll tell that straight to the hundreds of thousands of workers who lost their jobs when these Liberals killed pipelines, LNG exports to allies, and capped Canadian oil and gas. Last year, 98% of Canadian crude went to the U.S., Canada's biggest customer and competitor due to these Liberals. But in April, the PM said he won't repeal their No New Pipelines, Never Build Anything unlawful Bill C-69 and ignores premiers and businesses. When will he repeal Bill C-69? Yeah.
Minister for Natural Resources. To rise in the House for the first time. I wish to thank the people of Markham Thornhill for their trust. I'm also thinking of my family. Who have supported me from day one, and my parents who I wish were still with us. It's time to get many projects built here in Canada. We will cut red tape, fast-track projects, and approve them within 2 years. We will create jobs for Canadians and build the strongest economy in the G7.
The honourable member for Lakeland. Alone, these Liberals killed 16 major energy projects and $176 billion in options to make Canada affordable, safe, self-reliant, and united. And half these ministers, they're the same. These Liberals must kill C-69, but they can't get their story straight. 2 weeks ago, the Culture Minister said Canada doesn't need more pipelines. Last week, the Energy Minister talked a good game, but just like right now, won't commit to concrete action. How can Canadians believe anything they say? Will they repeal Bill C-69, yes or no? Yeah!
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. The Prime Minister has been clear. Yes, we will support new pipelines if there is consensus in Canada for them. With American tariffs threatening our economy and threatening our sovereignty, we must protect our energy security. There is no question energy is Canada's power. It will help us build the strongest economy in the G7, guide the world in the right direction, and help us be strong at the negotiating table. We will win this trade war. We will make Canada an energy superpower.
The honourable member for Skeena, Bulkley Valley.
Over 9 years, the Liberals' anti-energy laws have weakened our country to the benefit of the United States.
That's right.
Canadian oil and gas piped to the United States provides jobs and revenues for Americans, but not for Canadians. But get this, it's at a discount. Canada's energy potential has been stalled by anti-energy laws from the Liberal government for close to a decade. Will the Prime Minister scrap the job-killing and economy-killing energy production cap.
Yes.
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, while my Conservative colleagues are interested in playing politics, I'm interested in getting things built, including pipelines where there is consensus. We will make Canada an energy superpower in both conventional and clean energy by cutting red tape, fast-tracking projects, and approving them within 2 years. This means creating new jobs and growing the economy. We can make Canada strong and protect ourselves from American tariffs if we work together with Indigenous partners, industry, and workers, but also
the honourable member for Skeena Bulkley Valley.
Time is up.
Even the BC-NDP have removed their decarbonization policies for LNG export facilities.
Right.
This is not politics. Even Canada's Parliamentary Budget Officer forecasts a $20.5 billion reduction in GDP and potential job loss of 54,000 full-time jobs under this energy production cap.
Right.
Canada's loss is America's gain.
That's right. Yes. Here.
Again, to the Prime Minister, will the Prime Minister scrap the Canadian job-killing and Canadian economy-killing energy production cap, yes or no?
Yes.
Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank the constituents of Toronto Danforth for giving me this opportunity to stand up for Canada and to build a strong Canada.
Yes.
Now, to the member opposite's question, I want to be clear. If Canada wants to be an energy superpower, the Prime Minister has stated it. It's going to be low cost, low risk, and low carbon. We're going to get projects built right across our country while making sure that we protect the environment.
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsula.
Mr. Speaker, it's an honor to rise here representing the hard-working people of Newfoundland and Labrador for the very first time. While my province of Newfoundland and Labrador has the highest unemployment rate in the country at nearly 10%, the industrial carbon tax is compromising our competitive edge and shifting our jobs abroad. Canada's energy, mining, and forestry workers are pleading to have the industrial carbon tax removed. My question is, will this Prime Minister fully repeal the industrial carbon tax to create jobs at a time we need it the most?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, making sure that polluters pay is a central part of moving forward and being competitive as an energy superpower. When we look at other countries around the world, they have border carbon adjustments in place. They are looking to Canada to make sure that the energy that we provide is low risk, low cost, and low carbon.
The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals claim they want to make Canada an energy superpower, but they forget it's their record over the last decade that has decimated our energy sector and kept our resources in the ground. Their oil and gas production cap will kill tens of thousands of jobs and cost our economy $20 billion. Their industrial carbon tax will cost Canadian businesses and consumers and make Canada less affordable and less competitive. Their legislation, Bill C-69, is blocking energy infrastructure and making us more dependent on the United States. The solution is easy. Will the Prime Minister repeal Liberals' costly anti-energy laws?
The Honourable Minister of Industry and Canadian Economic Development.
Thank you. I would like to thank first and foremost the constituents from Hunsey-Cartierville. Merci à tous les citoyens d'Hunsey-Cartierville. Know that we are in a trade war that has been has been launched by the U.S. And we know that hardworking Canadians are feeling the grunt of this trade war, particularly in the manufacturing sector, particularly in the auto, steel, aluminum sectors, and we continue to fight for them. That's why we will make sure that we invest in them, that we work on making sure that we attract the investments across the world while making sure that we grow the fastest economy of the G7.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, throughout the campaign, the Prime Minister kept saying that he was open to new energy projects. But he never clearly said that he would repeal Bill C-69, a liberal anti-development bill which would prevent Quebec LNG from being restarted. We need this in order to be less dependent on the Americans. Will the Prime Minister listen to Quebec's rural regions and repeal C-69? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Well, I'm looking forward to working with my colleague at a time when we're facing the American trade war. I'm looking forward to protecting jobs both in Quebec and everywhere in Canada, especially in the aluminum sector, for example. There is aluminum in my colleague's riding. We will attract new investment. We will create jobs here and throughout the country, and we will have the strongest growth level in the G7. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, there is a Léger poll that shows that 87% of Quebecers feel completely detached from the monarchy. And that's why the National Assembly of Quebec unanimously adopted a motion asking for all of Quebec's links with the monarchy to be abolished. In Quebec, we are Democrats, not monarchists. But on the other hand, the Liberals, well, the first thing they did after the election was to invite the King of England to parade around at a cost to Quebecers, a cost of millions of dollars. Do the Liberals realize that the very first thing they did in office proves that they are completely disconnected from Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. I'd like to thank my constituents who have enabled me to be standing up here for a third consecutive mandate. And I'd also like to remind my colleagues from the Bloc that it's always the UK Crown that reads the speech, that there's nothing different there. But this time the King came to read the speech, which is an honor for many Canadians and also many Quebecers. And I'd also like to remind my colleagues from the Bloc that we are a sovereign country. Sovereignty is a concept that they should understand. Isn't that so?
We're seeing two different narratives on housing. What? That's what I thought.
I would like to apologize to the member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Please go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Quebecers did not vote for this, Mr.
Looks like only my feed is the one that's going down. Probably the hack. That twisting.
That the Liberals' priority is not the budget because we don't have a budget and they don't care about supporting our economy. They're not doing anything for that. What is actually their priority is to put on a spectacle with the King of England. You know, whenever the Bloc Québécois talks about the monarchy, the Liberals say that we're ignoring the really important topics. Well, then why aren't they prioritizing important topics like the budget instead of wasting millions of dollars on royal pomp and circumstance? Can I get an explanation for this? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to start by thanking my constituents for electing me to a fourth mandate. And I intend to fulfill my mandate with conviction, humility, and passion, Mr. Speaker. And yes, we are focusing on important topics. My colleague must be asleep at the switch. The first thing we're going to do is to reduce taxes for 22 million Canadians. We should all be celebrating here today, Mr. Speaker. 22 million Canadians will see a middle-class tax cut. That was our promise, and that's what we're going to do. Together, we will build a stronger Canada.
Two very different narratives on housing, one from the campaign and a very different one from the minister. The new housing minister, the former mayor from Vancouver, who let housing prices go up 179% in just 8 years, is saying something very different. The minister answered a resounding no when he was asked if home prices should come down from their record highs. If he's adamant that prices shouldn't go down, how much does he think that they should go up?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure and Minister responsible for Pacific Economic Development Canada.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je suis honoré.
It's an honor for me to be here in the House.
Vancouver, Fraser, South Burnaby, for giving me the opportunity to represent them here. On the issue of affordability and affordable housing, well, first, I'm very proud to be part of a government that's committed to cutting taxes from day one here in the House. I'm also looking forward to pursuing the most ambitious affordable housing plan in the history of Canada, delivering a GST cut to first-time home buyers and ensuring we bring the development costs down.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
The minister ought to know that the housing market is already in chaos. Sellers can't sell and buyers can't buy. It's proving out. Only 310 houses were sold across the entire GTA. That's a staggering 89% below 10-year average. Lower supply, higher prices spells more trouble for Canadians. So instead of building homes and bringing the cost down, he's actually building more bureaucracy. So we know that housing prices went up 179% when he was in charge of housing in Vancouver. How much higher are they going to get when he's in charge of housing for the entire country?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure and Minister responsible for Pacific Economic Development Canada.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the member, it's not about reducing the value of an individual's home or senior's home. The member may wish to force seniors to sell their homes for less. We're going to focus on building more affordable housing and delivering a cut to the GST to first-time home buyers.
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, the sale of new homes in the GTA just hit a 7th straight month of record-setting lows. Only 310 new homes were sold in the GTA in April. That's a 72% drop over last year and an 89% drop in the 10-year average. With condo sales plummeting 94%. Wow. The report warns that there will be a massive housing shortage in 2 years. Prices are too high for buyers and they're too low for sellers. So can the Prime Minister tell us what he plans to do to help the buyers that cannot afford to buy and the sellers that cannot afford to sell?
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu National.
Speaker, it's good to be back, and in fact, the Conservatives have not changed, Mr. Speaker. They should listen more. My colleague was very clear about what we're doing. We're eliminating GST for first-time home buyers, Mr. Speaker, in the country, for houses up to $1 million. We should all celebrate, Mr. Speaker, and we expect the Conservative to support the Ways and Means motion we have put, Mr. Speaker, because this is how we can help Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Well, Mr. Speaker, tax relief is certainly welcome, and it's frankly long overdue from this government. But the bigger tax cuts that they're talking about will save families $70 a month. We're dealing with families that are looking at $5,000 a month mortgages or more. Equifax is reporting that the mortgage delinquencies in Ontario are at the highest level ever recorded. They're up 70%, Mr. Speaker. This is not a coincidence. It's certainly not a surprise. So instead of building a third federal housing bureaucracy, why don't we just get more homes built?
L'honorable ministre des Finances.
The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue.
Speaker, in one end, it's encouraging that we hear the Conservative will support our motion, but it's concerning to hear a member, Mr. Speaker, to really talk down a measure that will help 22 million Canadians in this country, Mr. Speaker. This is shocking. This is up to $840 for a family with 2 incomes, Mr. Speaker. The people in my riding and his riding are welcoming this measure, and we hope the Conservative will support us. This is how you support Canadians.
L'honorable député de... The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Tout au long de ma campagne.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All throughout my campaign, I met hundreds of young people in Montmorency-Charlevoix, my riding. They were completely discouraged by the exorbitant cost of housing. After years of Liberal governments, mortgage payments and down payments have doubled. According to the Canadian Real Estate Association, last year alone, the average home price in Quebec increased by 10%. And yet, on his first day in office, the Minister of Housing told Canadians that home prices were fine. That is so out of touch with reality. Mr. Speaker, how can the Minister look young Canadians in the eye and tell them that home prices are fine? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, if my colleague had been listening today, he would have heard that there is good news for Canadians. We will cut GST for first-time home buyers up to $1 million, Mr. Speaker. That can lead to savings of $50,000, Mr. Speaker. That is an incredible, exceptional measure. It will help young families. It will help young Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We made a promise, and we are keeping it.
Shore St. Margaret's.
Mr. Speaker, last month voters in my riding of beautiful South Shore, St. Margaret's, voted for change. A change to address the cost of living and a change to address the cost of living, which has eroded Canada's quality of life. They voted for a change that puts more money in their pockets, and they voted for change that builds more affordable Canada. As we build the strongest economy in the G7, we need to ensure that we leave no Canadians behind. Mr. Speaker, my question is, could the Minister of Finance and National Revenue please share with this House how the government...
The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue.
Mr. Speaker, what a great question, Mr. Speaker. I think the Conservatives should follow the lead, Mr. Speaker. I want to congratulate my colleague for election and for the hard work that she's putting on behalf of the people of South Shore. St. Margaret's, Mr. Speaker, as she mentioned, last month Canadians voted for a government that has a plan to build the best economy in the G7, and that's what we're delivering, Mr. Speaker. That's what we're delivering, and we're going to address the cost of living in this country. That's why one of the very first announcements of this government, Mr. Speaker, was to cut tax for 22 million Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we should all celebrate.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand, Norfolk.
Liberal policies like Bill C-5 have led to a crime wave across Canada. Violent crime is up 50%. Gun violence is up 116%. Just yesterday, a drive-by shooting shook our small rural community of Cayuga. This crime wave is no accident. It is a direct result of the Liberal policies like C-5 that has ended mandatory jail time for serious gun offenses and drug crimes. Will the Prime Minister end this crime wave by repealing Trudeau's Bill C-5?
Yeah. The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let me just take a moment to thank the people of Scarborough-Gilbert-Bruce Park for my fourth consecutive mandate. To my friend opposite, my heart goes out to those who are impacted by the violence in her community just yesterday. I want to assure her and I want to assure all Canadians that we will address issues of serious violent offenders seriously. We will make sure that we tighten up bail reform, and we will ensure that our government will always be there to protect Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
The Honourable Member for Haldimand, Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, a serious issue is the will of Canadians to live in peace, which they once did. Now they live in fear because of Liberal soft-on-crime policies. Liberal policies like Bill C-5 and Bill C-75 put repeat violent offenders back on the streets, contributing to the suffering of communities across Canada. Premiers, police, legal experts, civil liberties advocates all demand change. So I ask the question one more time. Will the Prime Minister restore safe streets and repeal Bill C-5 and Bill C-75? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Speaker, on April the 28th, Canadians gave us a mandate to ensure that our streets are safe. And since that time, we've been working together with law enforcement to work towards safer communities across Canada. I want to just outline some of the highlights from the Chief of Police for the City of Toronto, who indicated that auto thefts, for example, have decreased by 39%, home invasions down by 42%, homicides down by 67%, and shootings down by 46%. We have a lot more work to do, Mr. Speaker, and we will work together with law enforcement to ensure the safety and security of all Canadians. Our government will always be there to protect.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Gateway.
Mr. Speaker, families across Canada feel helpless because these Liberals have done nothing to stop violent crime rising across the country. They stick with their ideological soft-on-crime policies, and that is why extortion gangs are targeting Canadian businesses and their families. In fact, just this month, we've seen more shootings, arson, and even a murder potentially linked to extortion. Yet Canada still has no mandatory minimum penalty for extortion. So will the Prime Minister work with Conservatives to bring in the same legislation that I brought in last Parliament to bring in tougher penalties for extortion?
Here, here. The Honourable Secretary of State for...
These things, there's like these tow truck wars or something that's happening in like west of Toronto or just outside of Toronto, and stuff like. And these extortions are very much increasing. I guess it's I don't know. They can't handle it. Get their handle on. I think personally, I don't know. Leave your comment. They need to get their handle on the biggest source of criminal money, and it's right now. It's in this cheap. What's it? Fentanyl crisis here, and Trump's nailed it. It's not. This is a lot of this money isn't actually intended, or this drug is intended to make a mess of our communities. It's actual intent. Okay, it comes in, and yes, maybe there's a demand for it. We got to worry about that, like someone said in the comments. Ida said, yeah, we have to worry about to get on the demand. We have to start getting more people into treatment, voluntary and involuntary. I believe it's my thing. Hey, if you're in the hospital, you're homeless, and you're tested for, like, you know what I mean, the drugs or whatever, you're like, then treatment center, I think, is the best solution. I personally think. Give them 3 months off the drug, and then you give them, hey, would you like to go to the next level, or do you want to stay here? Or do you want to just be put back on the street to where you were headed, which is most likely death? And so whatever, what have you, and then they have to find a way to deal with this fentanyl crisis. And it's not the underlings, it's not the low man on the street. There's wealth, there's billions of dollars into this industry. It's not a little industry, so it's not like, you know, we need a real police force, federal police operative system that's dealing with this. And it's not like it's not the little small time dealer busting the small time dealer that's going to stop it. It's not. But like I said, I don't think we can handle getting every single one of these off the market, but you can start with the most disastrous that's been to our country in history, right? They said, was it 50 to 100 times more addictive than regular heroin? And heroin was like bad when, in the 90s and 80s. I don't know. What do you think? Leave your comment, like, subscribe. There's only a few of us.
For combating crime.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You heard it in the throne speech yesterday. It is a top priority of this new government. We are partnering with police services across this country to fight organized crime. We'll make it tougher for violent criminals to get bail. We'll impose stricter sentences for repeat offenders. We are serious. We're going to get to work, and we're going to fight crime.
The
honourable member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, since 2016, nearly 50,000 Canadians have died from the opioid crisis. Over 80% of accidental opioid deaths involve fentanyl. It takes just 2 milligrams of fentanyl to kill someone. Mass fentanyl production is mass murder. But liberal laws let the monsters who kill our people walk free. Conservatives are proposing to give mandatory life sentences for anyone involved in the trafficking, production, and distribution of over 40 milligrams of fentanyl. Will the Prime Minister crack down on fentanyl production and give life sentences for drug kingpins committing mass murder?
Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me just first welcome my friend opposite to the House. Fentanyl has torn every community across Canada and North America, Mr. Speaker. It's something that everyone in this House is impacted by. We're accelerating our work to crack down and dismantle the fentanyl trade and organized crime that profit from it. That's why we listed 7 cartels as terrorist entities under the Criminal Code. I'm working so closely with Kevin Brasso, Canada's fentanyl czar, at home and abroad, to put laser-sharp focus on dismantling fentanyl rings. We will work together in order to address this issue. Our government will always be there.
The honourable member for Brampton West.
Mr. Speaker, soft on crime, Liberal Bills C5 and C75 have unleashed crime waves in Brampton and across our country. Violent crime up 50%, auto theft up 50%, extortion up 400%. The out-of-touch public safety minister said during the campaign that there was nothing wrong with the bail system. Repeat offenders should be in jail, not out on bail. Does the Prime Minister agree with his minister, or does he stand with frontline officers like Pierre Poilievre to bring in bail reform?
Get bail, impose stricter sentences for repeat violent offenders. And the chief has reported, the chief of police for Toronto, that auto thefts have decreased by nearly 39%, home evasions down 42%, homicides down 67%, and shootings down 46%. And we'll continue to be tough on crime.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands.
That's quite a bit down.
Before taking office, the Prime Minister helped establish multi-billion-dollar investment funds that were placed in offshore tax havens. Now, he's shielding those investments from public scrutiny with a blind trust that hides but doesn't remove potential conflicts of interest. Now, Canadians are lined up at food banks in record numbers. They can't pay their rent, but they are paying their taxes, and they want to know if the Prime Minister paid taxes on his investments. So can the Prime Minister, who I welcome here today, confirm that none of the investments that he placed in the blind trust were previously held in offshore tax havens?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Government House Leader.
As you know, the Prime Minister has followed all the rules even before they were required. He'll continue complying with all the rules. Opposition members like to distract Canadians with these hypotheticals and conjured scenarios. The fact is, we have a Prime Minister, a new government, hard at work at creating opportunity for Canadians, the strongest economy in the G7, and reducing taxes. The opposition don't like that so much, so they dig dirt on day one. Shame on them, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue our work.
The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Canadians don't want an explanation in how to bend over backwards to fit through ethical loopholes. They want to be reassured that after a decade of serial ethical law breaking, that they can have confidence that the Prime Minister is going above just the basic minimum standard. So the Prime Minister, again, who I welcome to the chamber, can he stand up and just assure Canadians that none of the funds that he had previously were held in offshore tax havens? And can he tell Canadians what those investments were in when he sat at his first cabinet meeting?
Here. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, Canada has among the most stringent ethics guidelines in the world. The Prime Minister has complied with those ethics guidelines and surpassed the requirements contained in those ethics guidelines. What the Prime Minister is busy doing is not what this member is busy doing. What the Prime Minister is busy doing is creating opportunity for Canada, standing up in a trade war against the United States, reducing our taxes, building new homes, and creating the strongest economy in the G7. That's what we're up to.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, how can we know for sure that the Prime Minister is not just making more opportunities for himself? Why is the Liberal Prime Minister so reluctant to disclose to Canadians the full extent of his personal wealth? Why so many secrets? We know that just before becoming Prime Minister, he set up, for his company, Brookfield, 2 multi-billion-dollar funds in notorious known tax havens so that the company wouldn't have to pay taxes in Canada. Can the Prime Minister confirm here and now that he has no assets and no financial interests in offshore tax havens? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, it didn't take long for the Conservative question period machine to run out of material. What we're doing is creating jobs, creating a strong economy, standing strong against the United States. The Prime Minister exceeds all the requirements of the Code of Ethics, which is the most demanding of all of its kind in the world. The Conservatives, Mr. Speaker, they love to dig for dirt. Meanwhile, on this side of the House, we are creating opportunities for Canadians. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Well,
I just want to interject very quickly. It's actually surprising how much hitting back the Liberals are doing, and it actually makes them look a lot better. Now that they're not talking about what they do in their bedrooms and stuff like that, or in sports or whatever, what have you, and they're not promoting giving out free drugs. You know, a lot of the arguments against them that most people thought were abhorrent are gone, right? So they're not necessarily going to be a vivified, vile party as they were, right? And so I think they're feeling that, they're sensing it, and they're hitting back because they're hitting back from like regular person thing. They're like, anyway. McKinnon has always been kind of funny. He has a good humor to him, so I've kind of always enjoyed that, but. The Conservatives, like you said, he said they need new material, and they kind of do. They do need new material, and a good ethics violation would help.
It didn't take the Liberal government long to start doing things the exact same way that the last Liberal government did. Here's the truth. The Liberal Prime Minister seems to be taking his sweet time covering up his conflicts of interest before opening his books to Canadians. One of his first decisions as Prime Minister was to transfer assets to a blind trust. And he claims that by magic, overnight, he will forget about all of his financial assets, as if the only ones who don't know are Canadians. Will the Prime Minister come clean and disclose all of his financial assets, as well as the conflicts of interest held in his trust? Yes or no? We need an answer now. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Canadians can be assured that this Parliament and our institutions are governed by the most demanding ethics code in the whole world. The Prime Minister met and even surpassed all of the Code of Ethics' requirements. If the Conservatives want to carry on like this, digging for dirt, I think electors will be disgusted. Canadian voters want us to work for them. They don't want us here slinging mud at each other. The Honourable Member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, for too long, trade barriers have stifled the development of one Canadian economy. Our economic sovereignty is currently under threat. It is thus more important now than ever before, to promote free trade within our borders. Can the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs and One Canadian Economy inform this House of the action our government is taking in order to protect our economic sovereignty and to build one Canadian economy? The Honourable President of the Treasury Board, U.S.-Canada Trade, Intergovernmental Affairs, and One Canadian Economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank my colleague, the member for Terrebonne, for her excellent question. We recently campaigned on a commitment to build one Canadian economy, not 13 economies. By Canada Day, Mr. Speaker, we will table a bill which seeks to eliminate all federal barriers to internal trade. We also commit to working with provinces and territories in order to fast-track projects that are in the national interest. Mr. Speaker, that's how we intend to build the strongest economy in the G7.
Canada is in an economic crisis without any plan because the Liberals shut this place down for half the year to avoid accountability. And now the Prime Minister says no budget before fall. With record high food bank usage, a rise in the number of those using those food banks that are fully employed, a rise in mortgage delinquencies. TD Bank now also predicts that over 100,000 Canadian jobs will be lost due to a looming recession. Given all of this information, how is it even possible the Liberals won't table a budget this spring?
Ministre des Finances et du Revenu National. I welcome the question from my colleague, Mr. Speaker. We're being very clear that there will be a budget in early fall of this year, Mr. Speaker. But in the meantime, why we should celebrate, and we just see now that the Conservatives are going to support our motion, Mr. Speaker. Now this is a good thing, Mr. Speaker. Now Canadians will see that in this House of Commons, we need to do things for them. The first thing that we presented, that we promised and we're delivering, is a tax cut for the middle class, Mr. Speaker. 22 million Canadians will having a tax cut, Mr. Speaker. This is what we've been elected for. We're going to fight for Canadians. Every day, Mr. Speaker, is a good day to fight for Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Calgary East. The Prime Minister sloganeered on a plan, yet refuses to tell anyone what that plan is. He's overseeing the longest period without a budget since the 1960s outside of COVID. Uncertainty about spending and their debt that they're going to accumulate scares away investors, small businesses, and Canadians during a cost of living crisis. We know that this Prime Minister is going to spend more than Justin Trudeau. Why won't they be clear with Canadians and let them know how much more inflation and interest rates are going to go up because of all their spending?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Et ministre responsable de Développement économique Canada.
And Economic Development Canada for Quebec's regions.
Justified tariffs by the U.S. against Canadians are making Canadians' lives much more unaffordable. That's why we're cutting taxes. As the Minister of Finance just mentioned, this new government is cutting taxes on the middle class, making sure also that we're cutting the carbon tax and cutting the GST on first-time home buyers. We will create the strongest and fastest growing economy of the G7. This is the utmost priority of our government, and we will deliver. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
The Prime Minister claimed being the man with a plan. Very well. Where is it? After 14 years in finance, I have learned that if you don't know your numbers, you're out. We know the Prime Minister is committed to spending more than Justin Trudeau, but he won't even tell Canadians how much. TD reported that Canada is nearing a two-quarter recession with up to 100,000 job losses this fall. So I have one simple question. With the economic storm clouds moving in, how is it possible not to have a budget this spring?
The Honourable Minister of finance, and national revenue.
Speaker, I have one simple answer. We have a plan, and it's a plan in action, Mr. Speaker. I welcome this member to the House of Commons. But the plan, Mr. Speaker, is simple. We're going to cut tax for 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, the leader of the Conservative just said outside the House that he's going to support our plan. So that, Mr. Speaker, is a step forward. Not only we're going to do that, we're going to remove GST for first-time home buyers for a house up to $1 million. And, Mr. Speaker, we're going to remove the consumer carbon price from law, Mr. Speaker. This is a plan. This is delivering for Canadians. This is building a better economy for all.
The honourable member for Labrador.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour for me to rise in this House as a representative for a region that forms part of Canada's north, beautiful Labrador. We must never take our sovereignty and security in the Arctic for granted. As foreign threats to the region's increase and the impacts of climate change intensify, it is imperative that Canada work in close partnership with Indigenous and Northern communities. Can the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs inform this House on the government's strategy for the region?
Here is the I'm going to pet my fellow person question because the Liberals have more questions than they did before. So he gets to pet he's like, how great are you? And tell us why we should all adore you. It's, yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Northern Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today with a deep sense of responsibility, gratitude, and humility. I stand here as a proud Anishinaabe, Innu, and Métis woman representing Churchill, Kiiwetinokiski riding. Ensuring a Canada that is strong and free and defending the Arctic and the people living there is a top priority for this new government. We will strengthen the presence of the Canadian Armed Forces, detect and deter early warnings with radar coverage, and invest in the necessary housing and infrastructure. And we'll do this all by working with Indigenous and Northern partners every step of the way.
The honourable member.
I don't know. Was she from Churchill? Like, Churchill, Manitoba? Okay. I'm thinking if I were investing, Churchill, Manitoba is going to be the hot spot of the country because the Alberta oil may be going there, transmission lines leaving there, a new rail line may be going there and helping the rail line that was already picked up. I think Northern Rail Lines Company. But I think it looks like it's going to be a hub. And then the transmission lines possibly going from there up into the Arctic. I think the federal government has to jump in on it, but it looks like it's cold. Oh, and the port of Manitoba, like getting a large port there. Wab Kinew, the NDP leader of Manitoba. I'm just so excited about Manitoba, and especially because Manitoba never got any sunshine, from the people. But I think now, if I were to be, read the psychic ball, it would be basically that it's going to happen, and Churchill's going to be the place to be.
For Central Newfoundland.
Mr. Speaker, in yesterday's throne speech, the Prime Minister reaffirmed his commitment to persecute the fishing and aquaculture industries with Liberal policy to close down 30% of fishing grounds by 2030. The 30 by 30 Marine Protected Areas agenda was developed by the United Nations in conjunction with foreign activists, and this government signed it. So how can the Minister of Fisheries support shutting down the productivity of the fishing industry and the aquaculture industry that means so much to coastal communities throughout Canada, given the impact that it'll have on our very own province?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the people of St. John's East for continuing to put their trust in me, and I also want to congratulate my colleague from across the aisle. This government continues to understand the cultural and the economic importance of the fisheries. And I can tell you that I am very humbled and proud to be responsible for this file. And I will also assure the people of Canada, and certainly my colleague across the aisle, that the fisheries remains an important ministry in the government, and I will do all that I can to ensure that harvesters, industry, and communities are protected.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, Canada's unemployment rate has surged to 6.9%, the highest in 8 years outside the pandemic. Alarmingly, youth unemployment is more than double that. And now, the OECD is warning that Trump's trade war will cost Canada even more jobs this year. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are worried about their futures. What immediate steps will this government take to bring the jobless rate down and protect Canadian workers hurt by Donald Trump's tariffs?
That's the NDP's like lone question so far.
For jobs and families and minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to rise and represent Thunder Bay Superior North for a fourth term in this House of Commons. This government is very focused on protecting workers and in making sure that youth and indeed workers of all ages have the skills and abilities to thrive as our economy transitions. I will work closely with my partners, indeed members across this House, to make sure that all Canadians have an opportunity to thrive as we see economic change.
And that completes our very first question period of the 45th Parliament.
Now we got two.
I wish to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of the Honourable Rob Lance, Premier of Prince Edward Island.
Looks like no point of orders today. No points of order. This is the first time this has ever happened. No points of order. I guess I may have something going on. I figured out what's going on. But no points of order. That is amazing. Let's see. We have had... Here, I'm going to open this. I thought it was Okay, I'm going to give a little synopsis here. Whoa, you got to look at my... There. Okay, so, yeah. It wasn't bad. I think Andrew Scheer did the best for the Conservatives. Alain maybe as well did some pretty good. But I think Scheer did pretty good. There was quite a few questions that he had. The big one that from Xavier from the for the Bloc was like, hey, about the King. It didn't really land too hard, but it wasn't too hard of a strike. Gilles Duceppe, the leader of the Bloc, had quite a few questions as well. They were pretty tougher questions. But Andrew Scheer, I think, of the Conservatives, he did a pretty damn good job. He held them to account. He complained about it, and then he gave it that. McKinnon shot back quite a few times, and as well as he answered quite a few questions. You can put back a couple of his clips. I thought he did a pretty good job, to be honest. And Mark Carney, Stephen McKinnon, he's the leader of the House here. I'll put this guy up here for a second here. This guy, Stephen McKinnon, leader of the government of the House of Commons, so he's like, he handles what happens in the House. He had quite a few. He hit back. He struck back, and they weren't like flimsy as they were before. Like basically, what I'm saying is the Conservatives have to up their game like big time. It's going to be a big change because a lot of their big sticky point arguments, they're actually going to be working on. So instead of before obfuscating and like their duties and stuff like that, and they're actually going to answer the question with proper answers, and then that really diffuses the anger, right? When you're like, what are you going to do to give more jobs? And like, well, we're going to build a port in Churchill, you know? They're like, oh, okay. And then the other one is like, well, Mark Carney gave him a few jabs towards Pierre. Like he said, oh, the former member of Carleton. Ooh. So the Liberals had a point there, you know, because like he lost his seat. That really sucks. It only happened. Like I was always using Ignatieff, the Liberal leader who lost his seat. He lost his seat, and at the same time the party lost like almost party status. It was very, very, very bad. People were talking about the NDP joining with the Liberals at the time. The pundits, of course, it never happened. The NDP is not doing very well right now. They got a question at the end. Don Davies got like one question at the very end. That's it. The NDP are going to have some really hard, and it wasn't hard hitting enough. I think it won't make the clip reel. They only got one question. It's got to have zazz. I'm sorry. I know nothing against the individual. He seems like a very smart, intelligent person. It's just the questions. You only get one. It's got to make the clip reel. They got to make the clip reel because there's the retail part of politics and then there's the real business of politics. And the real business part of politics, the NDP will have a part to play because you know the Liberals will need 1 or 2 votes, or 3 votes. So there is that. But this first question period, it wasn't as it was before. Even if Pierre was there, I don't think he would have been able to get too much. Because first of all, they haven't done anything except did a throne speech, and all of Canada was pretty much happy about that. The poll, even in Alberta, the separatist poll went down after over like last night. So a lot of the silliness and that the Liberals are gone. Washed away with Carney, and they're having answers to the problems now. In a year from now, we'll be able to say, hey, has there been any change? Has you done anything, or is it just talk? Or just like here, $500 here off of your taxes. We'll see. We'll see in a year, but I think it was pretty good. There's no point of orders. The Conservatives struck at them. They didn't feign. MP Barrett threw a couple. Small did a good job. He's got that good newfie anger. The new guy who won his 12 seats asked the question. They didn't really have anything. They didn't have anything, and it was like McKinnon said it. They don't have any good material. They need better material. Now, of course, there needs to have some mistakes. MP Brock didn't ask any questions. Like MP Brock? I don't know why. He's been ostracized. He's like one of the better of them for asking party and getting things done. Maybe he's going to be the committee guy, but there seems to be they didn't do as well as they could have, but they tried. I'll give them that. But I'd say the Liberals on this day, on day one, the Liberals won. They got more zingers, attacks on the Conservatives than vice versa. Though I said Andrew Scheer, I think, did a pretty good job. I think he did his job to hold the government to account as best he could without much material yet. But a lot of the others, and I'm not saying anyone in particular, just overall. I don't know. What do you think? Leave your comments on the. And hey, this is day one. They got more time. But we're going to see how it goes. Like, subscribe, and have a good day.